It is Wednesday, October 16th. Here's what we're working on this morning. Almost all services have now been restored after the City of Hamilton's cyber incident.
Cities have now to get the Ontario government approval before building new bike lanes.
And Taylor Swift piles on to her success with a new book. And you may want to pile on the layers this morning because it's kind of cold.
Well, we got used to it yesterday. Now
Yes.
It's just common occurrence, I guess, Brian.
Yeah, temperature actually today we're double what we were yesterday.
Oh, a balmy 4?
Yes, double. Yes, yesterday we were 2. This morning we're 4. So yeah,
Felt the same to me.
Yeah, I know it still feels.
I actually turned up the seat heater to high this morning, not to low.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's an indication.
Now that's getting toasty.
And then I just have to remember to turn it off because mine automatically comes back on when I get in the car. And so yesterday afternoon I was like, wow, it's hot in here.
All the little problems that we have. Oh,
Yes.
my bum's too warm.
Yes.
Oh dear.
First world problems.
Yeah. So 4 degrees to start, 10 degrees for later on. That's where we got yesterday. Today there's still chance of a lingering shower. Now some areas have had showers this morning. Some areas missed it completely, but again, still chance of a shower early this morning, and then sky's just going to stay fairly cloudy throughout the day. Later this afternoon, we could start to see some clearing, and the skies will clear overnight tonight for the full moon. It's almost full right now. I mean, a beautiful moon this morning, but it's going to be quite cold tonight, and we'll talk about that coming up. All right, let's look at traffic. Ooh, emergency vehicle going by there. You can see some flashing lights, but otherwise, nothing else to see on our exclusive camera. The 403 in Watertown Road looks pretty good at the moment. To some MTO traffic cameras. Ministry of Transportation Ontario, Nikola Tesla Boulevard toward the Skyway Bridge in the distance looks good. Nothing to see right there as we flip ahead to the 403 junction, and we'll have a look at Third Line. Not a lot going on this morning, so looks pretty good so far. So we'll give you details on weather and traffic coming up right now. The news.
Okay, thanks very much. Well, the Halton Police Reconstruction Unit is asking witnesses to come forward after a deadly crash in Burlington. A Jeep and a car crashed yesterday afternoon around 3 on Dundas Street and Walker's Line. A 94-year-old passenger in the car died a short time later in hospital.
Stay on the roads because a charge has been laid after a deadly crash in Milton last month. A 55-year-old man died after an 8-vehicle crash. This took place back on September the 20th on Derry Road at Ontario Street South in Milton. Police say the driver of the pickup truck hit several vehicles at the intersection, then crossed the center median and hit several more. 35-year-old man driving the truck has been charged with dangerous driving causing death.
One person's in hospital after a crash last night in Haldimand County. It happened around 8:30 on Highway 3 between Cheapside Road and Highway 53, just south of Hagersville. The driver was brought to hospital as a precaution. The roads have reopened now after crews repaired a hydro pole that had been knocked down.
Well, almost all services have been restored after the City of Hamilton's cyber attack. The incident, it was in late February and brought almost all of the city's apps, phone lines, and online services to a complete halt. About 70% have now been restored. The city says almost all of its programs are now running in a full or modified state. There have been recent restorations in service to zoning certification, property record searches, and Hamilton's property tax calculator.
A plane load of passengers on an Air India flight are getting a much-needed lift from the Canadian military. It comes after a bomb threat forced the U.S.-bound aircraft to make a precautionary diversion to Nunavut last night. The flight had been on its way from New Delhi to Chicago. Canada's emergency preparedness minister says the 211 passengers had been stranded in Nunavut's capital, Iqaluit, which is not equipped to house everyone, so he approved a request for a Canadian Forces plane to help them out.
Federal Trade Minister Mary Ng is acknowledging that uncertainty that Canadian businesses and investors may feel as a result of several diplomatic expulsions between Canada and India. Now, her comments, they come a day after the RCMP said it did have credible evidence linking Indian agents to murder, extortion, and coercion in Canada. Ng says while the government will continue to support commercial and economic ties between the two countries, it must also consider the need to protect Canadians and uphold the rule of law. She says the government remains open to a dialogue with India and looks forward to continuing a valued relationship. Meantime, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh says the allegations from the RCMP that the Indian government is engaging in criminal elements in Canada to harm Canadians is deeply disturbing.
We saw in the past year an uptake, a serious increase in gun violence. And the RCMP is pointing to the fact that a portion of that, a significant portion, can be attributed to a foreign government hiring criminal elements. This is a threat to anyone that lives in those communities. Anyone that has family in those communities, kids playing in the parks where those homes were shot at or those businesses were shot at. This is serious. That's why my team will be calling for an emergency meeting of the Public Safety Committee to look at other steps we can take to keep Canadians safe.
Singh said Canada must also ban a Hindu group that has been accused of hate speech by Sikh and Muslim groups.
A pro-Palestinian group has now been added to terror lists in both Canada and the United States. It comes after an unidentified masked woman led a crowd of hundreds outside the Vancouver Art Gallery in chants of, quote, death to Canada, death to United States, and death to Israel. Some in that same group burned Canadian flags. Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc says Samidoun, that's the name of the group, will now be listed under criminal code offenses that ban people from donating or providing property to the group. Samidoun is also known as the Palestinian Prisoner Solidarity Network, and U.S. officials say it masquerades as a humanitarian support charity that actually supports terrorism against Israel. The U.S. says Samidoun is headquartered in Vancouver.
A deadly listeria outbreak linked to plant-based milk appears to be over. The Public Health Agency of Canada says no additional cases have been reported since August after Silk and Great Value products were recalled. There were 20 confirmed cases of listeria in Ontario, Quebec, and Nova Scotia, along with Alberta. 3 people died in this outbreak. Now, the contamination, it came from a Pickering packaging plant.
The Ontario government wants to make municipalities ask for provincial permission before they put in bike lanes that would take away traffic lanes. The proposed change would be part of the first bill that the Progressive Conservative government introduces when the legislature resumes sitting next week. Transportation Minister Pramit Sakaria says too many drivers are stuck in gridlock as a result of bike lanes that were installed during the pandemic. The bill would require municipalities to get provincial approval and show that the bike lanes that are proposed won't negatively affect vehicle traffic. Members of CUPE's Ontario Council of Unions and the Ontario Health Coalition protested against healthcare privatization in Hamilton yesterday. A small group gathered outside the General Hospital in Hamilton with a 15-foot replica of a Trojan horse to symbolize what they described as the false gift of private health care. CUPE's secretary-treasurer says that funding should support public hospitals to pay doctors and nurses, not private clinics that prioritize profit. Trojan Horse is going to visit 61 hospitals across Ontario to raise awareness about the risks of privatization. Health Minister Sylvia Jones' office told CHCH News in a statement that they have increased investment across the hospital sector by 4% for 2 years in a row and have added 49 new MRIs and 50 CT machines across hospitals in Ontario. Well, the province has announced the next step of its plan to boost the life sciences sector. The Ontario government announced that it will spend $146 million on phase 2 of its plan to fuel growth. That plan includes a $46 million infrastructure fund to boost research capacities at colleges and universities and hospitals. The plan also includes $5 million to speed up clinical trials and $36 million for several medical startups. Ontario's development minister says the province is trying to increase the number of jobs in the health sector by more than 13,000 by 2030.
All right, let's get into Sportsline on this Wednesday. Well, after a very successful run at Copa America this past summer, our men's national soccer team played on home soil for the first time last night in almost a year, and they did not disappoint. Rocking crowd at BMO Field.
It's Jonathan David, shakes off a man to Liam Miller. He's got David!
Yeah, Jonathan David's goal in the 87th minute. That would hold up as the winner for Canada as they take down Panama 2-1 in a friendly and a chilly night in Toronto. That chilly night in Toronto. It was David's 30th goal for country, which drew him even with Kyle Larin for most goals for Canadian men, as he had actually opened the scoring in the first half. It was the first time head coach Jesse Marsh had his team play in Canada and warm up to them hosting the Nations League quarterfinals next month, and then World Cup coming up in 2026. Just down the road in the Big Smoke, the Raptors continue their preseason with the first game at Scotiabank. And Grady Dick being a one-man wrecking crew against the defending champs from Boston. Dick would drop a game-high 27 points, all part of a 46-point first quarter. Boston got back into this. Scotty Barnes, he'd help out. He'd score 26 in the 119-118 win. Again, these wins don't matter because it's all preseason. One more exhibition game Friday in Brooklyn before things start for reals a week today at the Bank against Cleveland.
Led the majors. Sends one high and deep to center field. Did he get it? Back on it is Thomas. He's at the wall. He got it. It's a two-run.
To New York, where despite being the Yankees in the ALCS, the home run leader this season in baseball, Aaron Judge, had not hit one in the playoffs until last night in Game 2 against Cleveland. That moonshot would put the Bronx Bombers up 6-2, and they would hold on for the 6-3 win. So they now have a 2-0 series lead over the Guardians in this best-of-7 series as things shift to the Cleve for Game 3 tomorrow. Mets and Dodgers in Game 3 of the NLCS in New York, with things all tied up at ones. Go to Columbus, where it was an emotional night for the Blue Jackets, their fans, and the Goudreau family. As the team in their home opener honored Johnny Goudreau, who was tragically killed in September, along with his brother, while riding their bikes. The Jackets lifted a banner into the rafters with his family, including his wife and 2 young kids, there to watch it. Then get this, to start the game, Columbus only had 4 players on the ice, leaving left wing open, where Johnny played, along with the clock ticking down 13 seconds, which was his jersey number. Emotional moment for everybody. Columbus would go on to lose to Florida 4-3.
It's going to be a breakaway for the win. McDavid in on Ersson. Died! What a save, Ersson. Center pass, shoots and scores!
Oilers fans, you can breathe a sigh of relief after getting your first win last night in overtime against the Philadelphia Flyers. Connor McDavid set up his good buddy Leon Draisaitl for the game winner in the 4-3 Edmonton win. So there was some concern in Oil Country after the Cup runner-ups and lost their first 3 games of the season.
Buchnevich fires in, looking for a goalie goal. Gustafsson scores!
Goalie goal.
Gotta love a good goalie goal. That's the 18th goalie goal in NHL history. Belongs to Minnesota's Philip Gustafsson after making a stop, dropped to a knee, and flipped the shot down the ice into the middle of the St. Louis net as they pulled the goalie for trying to get that tying goal. So he is the 15th goalie to be credited, with the last one coming from Tristan Jarry of the Penguins last November. Gustafsson made 27 saves in the Wild's 4-1 win.
All right, coming up on 14 minutes after 6 o'clock, it is the 16th morning of October. We're halfway through the week here, Wednesday. Looking at traffic this morning, we really have nothing to see. So we'll just show you some cams. That's one of our exclusive cameras, doing fine at Waterdown Road in the 403. So nothing in the Hamilton area. Into St. Catharines on our MTO traffic cameras. QEW Welland, nothing to see there. Nikola Tesla still doing fine. Here's the 403 junction. Toronto-bound lanes heading away from us toward Brant Street. Looks good. Ford plant, nothing. Same with the 427 Gardner QEW combination. A couple of traffic notes I do want to mention. is the Caledonia Bridge. Got this from good source. Live High Luke tells me that the Caledonia Bridge will be closing today, tomorrow, and Friday between 9 o'clock in the morning and around 2:30 to 3 o'clock for bridge inspection. And the Queen Street access upbound still closed. It closed yesterday, still closed for abutment work there, and that's going to go until, well, 6 weeks, I guess now. So, all right, let's get to the forecast here. Temperature right now. Here's how we're starting the day. Sitting at 4 degrees, light winds, relative humidity is up there, but not really high, but a mostly cloudy sky right now. For school today, 10 degrees will be the high, like we got to yesterday. There's that chance of a shower this morning. Otherwise, after that, it's going to stay fairly cloudy for the day. We've got that trough of low pressure going through that gave some areas showers overnight, but that will linger for the day today. And then later on, we could see a little bit of sunshine, but it is going to stay fairly cloudy. Oh, but wait till tomorrow. Today, temperatures 10, 11 degrees. Simcoe, Cayuga could get some sunshine. Same with Kitchener and Guelph. That clearing trend is going to start to move in from the west. So as I said, we could see a little sunshine late this afternoon. But look at tonight, 3 for Niagara, -1 for Hamilton, -3 for Cayuga, Simcoe, Brantford, Kitchener, and Guelph, with the wind chill, the first time we've mentioned this, wind chill values tonight in those areas of -5. It's going to be a cold night. And then tomorrow, we pop up so beautifully, 15, 14, 16 degrees, lovely sunshine. And that trend is going to continue through the rest of the week. So, out the door this morning, 16th of October, mostly cloudy. Temperature right now, 4. Long range coming up at 10.
Okay. Coming up, StatsCan has released the latest inflation numbers. That story and more coming up in just a couple minutes. 6:18 right now. There's no chit-chat because Emily Vukovic, she was doing like triple, quadruple duty yesterday. She was doing news or weather and traffic last night on the 6th and the 11th.
She's getting a bit of a sleep in.
Yeah,
so
well deserved.
We'll tackle chit-chat here at the desk coming up in the next half hour, but let's get into business news. 6:18 on your Wednesday morning. Let's start with some market numbers.
Yeah, Canadian dollar is up 8 basis points in overseas trading right now at 72.52 cents US. Gold is up almost $17 an ounce. Crude oil down 9 cents to $70.49 a barrel. Midday trading in Europe, markets are up in London, but are down just a little bit in Frankfurt and Paris.
Off to Asia we go. Markets are down in Tokyo and Hong Kong, up slightly in Shanghai. What about North American markets on Tuesday? Some losses across the board. Nothing substantial for Bay Street. It's more kind of what happened on Wall Street. Is Dow Jones down 324, NASDAQ down 187. Let's see what they do when markets open a little bit later this morning.
Annual inflation rate in Canada is continuing to slow. StatsCan reported its consumer price index fell to 1.6% in September. Gas prices were down more than 10% compared to a year earlier. Excluding gasoline, the pace of inflation was 2.2% last month. The inflation report is the last major piece of data that's needed before the Bank of Canada's next interest rate decision that's coming down next week. StatsCan will release its monthly survey of manufacturing for August today.
Canadian Real Estate Association, it has lowered its housing market forecast for the rest of the year due to a holding pattern in home sales. So despite the Bank of Canada's interest rate cuts, the expected gradual improvement, it has not really materialized. The association now says it thinks the national housing market will stay in more of a holding pattern until next spring, with just under 468,000 properties forecast to trade hands this year. This does reflect a predicted increase of 5.3% from last year, down from an earlier prediction of a 6.1% bump. Now, meantime, the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, they will release its monthly report on housing starts today.
Canada's Labour Minister is proposing a special mediator in the contract talks at the Port of Montreal. The proposal also includes a 3-month freeze on strikes and lockouts. In a social media post, the minister says the union and management have until Friday night to accept or reject his offer. The Maritime Employers Association says it's going to look at the proposal, but the union has declined to comment.
One more for you. Some observers, they say TD Bank's recent $3 billion settlement with U.S. regulators shows the weakness of Canada's enforcement options. TD Bank Group reached the deal with American regulators for failing to oversee money laundering risks. Now, a former FinTrack deputy director says fines in Canada, they have to increase significantly to successfully deter crimes and not become just a cost of doing business. So in Canada, FinTrack can fine banks a maximum of $500,000 per violation, while the U.S. regulators can fine banks up to $500,000 per day. Bit of a difference there.
Quite a bit of a difference.
That adds up rather quickly.
Yes, as TD found out. Okay, taking a break right now. Brian is back with your traffic and your 7-day forecast. It is going to warm up. Yay!
Good morning, 625. Let's get right to traffic. We'll check our MTO traffic cameras. Look at this shine on the highways here. They had some precipitation. Some areas got it last night. Some areas missed it completely. So QEW Mountain, St. Catharines to the Falls, doing fine there. Check the top of the Burlington Skyway Bridge. It's getting busy already. Look at heading down toward North Shore Boulevard. Further along, it's easing off a bit, but that was really slow there a few minutes ago. Third line looks pretty good. Nothing at Lorne Park. We do have a collision. I'll show you this. It's a little further afield, 401 at Islington. We've got the left lane blocked in the express going eastbound, as you can see there. Okay, to the temperatures that we have at the moment. Hamilton sitting at 4 degrees. Same for Mississauga, same for Toronto, 6 into Grimsby, a little bit better. So today, Wednesday, October the 16th, for seasonals, 13 now for the daytime high and 4 for the overnight low. So we're seasonal to start the morning here. Those are our sometimes records for today. And yeah, there is a chance of a shower this morning. So for school today, whoo, now that is a gourd. I don't know who lifted that up there, but wow. So 5 degrees for the first bell, chance of a shower. After school, going to be fairly cloudy. You could see some glimpses of some sun as we start to get some clearing, but there's that 10-degree high for the day today. -1 overnight tonight. It's going to be chilly, but the sky will be clear for the full moon. That's nice. Tomorrow, look at that, sunny and 15. Sunny all the way through the weekend, even into Monday. And look at those temperatures pop up. 18 for the weekend and 20 degrees by Monday. That's your forecast. Annette, Tim.
That is a very nice looking forecast.
It looks very gourd. Have you ever seen an elephant munch on a giant pumpkin?
Well, watch this one at the Oakland Zoo do just that. So the zoo surprised the elephant with this massive pumpkin, and in no time, he grabs it with his trunk and
the whole thing. Well done. Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Gone in one bite.
Awesome. Huh? That's how I eat.
Fun fact here, elephants spend 16 to 18 hours a day eating. They consume between 330 and 375 pounds of food a day. And they drink a lot too.
So we shouldn't be surprised that they eat pumpkins.
No.
There's a reason they're so big.
Yeah.
Imagine snacking 16 hours a day.
I kind of do that, isn't it? During the show.
A lot of one bites too. Take it all in. All right, another chilly start, as Brian was saying. A little bit warmer yesterday. Let's get through this a little bit because, as you saw, we're on a nice little run right into the weekend. All that coming up after this.